Welcome to another episode of Sports Vibe. Arnav Sarkar here with Kapil Nathan and Jitesh Ramakrishnan. Another week of NFL in the books. A lot of exciting games. All the primetime games pretty exciting this week. We're also going to talk some college football playoff. Four teams are announced: Alabama, Michigan, Texas, and Washington. It's going to be a good one. But first, NFL recap.
Let's
I
go
guess we can
back
just
to let's go back
Thursday
to
night.
let's go back to Seattle and Dallas. And what a game. This was
That
the
was a
first
good one.
exciting. First
I'd argue
exciting.
this is Dak's best game of the season. I'd definitely argue that.
I think so.
Mm.
You can make an argument for it. He done he played well. I mean, like,
And
really,
likewise,
really well.
Geno Smith's best game of the season.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the play calling on that last play. If Micah Parsons is supposed to be unblocked, that is never going to be a good thing. However, you try and, put it, you know, that was the one bad thing. Also, I did like some of the fourth down play calls towards the end. So, Shane Waldron, he's got a lot of flack recently. Some of it is deserved. He put together a good game. It's just, he has to just fine tune some things that, were working last year. Dallas defense, though, not good. It was not good this game.
What defense?
And yeah, I mean, like Dan Quinn, oh, he's his defensive guru. We did see that.
I
We
mean,
saw,
I mean,
we saw a lot of
that's who
reaction.
this is. That's who this is. Dan Quinn going against his former team.
Mm.
Like,
And and Deron Bland too. He got absolutely
We
cooked.
got torched.
That's yeah.
but he made
I
up for it with a pick.
made
Well,
up for it with the pick,
kind
and
of, kind
I
of.
think at the end of the day, at the end of the day, the Cowboys did win. So I guess it does help them. But was it a convincing win? No, it was not a
But
convincing
but
win.
but I will say, like, what I mean, of course we're not exactly defensive coordinators, but the three of us.
Mhm.
But like looking back at some of the film analysis, which we saw on like Thursday, like you saw that there are ways which DK was easily able to beat Deron Bland. And it wasn't just by being purely
Man, they
physical
were
either.
like,
Like
man, like there were catches where those were what they had their hands on each other, and DK Metcalf somehow came down with the ball. I mean, like that should credits to him. I mean, like Don Blando, he had a bad game. Will he bounce back from it? I think he might. He bounced back
Yeah.
from it through the second half. So don't like his defensive player
and
of the year. He's still in the conversation. I agree. I
and
think.
likewise, everyone has one bad game. No one's perfect for
Mhm.
17 games.
I think so. So yeah. So speaking of bad game,
And of course,
um,
Seattle's still going to go through hell because
yeah. They have, not an easy schedule. The Rams swept them. The Niners could very well, sweep them. It's gonna be an interesting, 5 weeks in off season in Seattle because there's so many good quarterbacks in the draft. Michael Penix is, literally from,
Mm.
he's not from that area, but he's in that area right now. You should probably draft him if you get the chance. So speaking of drafting a quarterback, let's go to Chargers and Patriots.
Oh,
The
wow.
worst game
well,
that I
let,
actually never bought. I didn't watch a single
listen
second
here.
of.
Here's the thing. I
Mm.
actually tried to watch this, and I will say probably one of my top 10 greatest regrets in life. But
But yeah,
on the other side, for Chargers fans, this is probably the least stressful game they've watched all season because the Patriots don't have an offense to compete with them.
yeah, and that I've never said I'm not going to watch the
Yeah.
Patriots today.
Listen,
I've said it. I had
at
to.
least like positives, the defense was outstanding. I mean,
Defense was
Keenan
you know
Allen
def,
and Austin Eckler both got muted. So
defense was elite. Like it's a shame. This is they've given up 49 points in their last four games.
oh,
They haven't won a single one.
that reminds me. I saw a tweet from Mike Rice,
Yeah, this hasn't happened
on
since like 1940s.
since 1938. We're the
Yeah,
first team, we the Patriots, are the first team to allow 10 points on defense in three straight
Yeah.
games and lose all
four
three.
now four.
No, three straight games we allowed 10 points or less.
Indy, New York, LA, and then
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
one.
that's where we are right
Yeah,
now.
that's
It could be
and
four when they play Pittsburgh, but I mean, in the meantime, no.
I'm not looking forward to it. But
No, no.
let's talk about the LA offense. Absolutely like stymied. I mean, like, are you like this is what defensive coordinators are going to look at and take a lot of notes on. They're going to watch it and say, "Oh, this is how we can stop Herbert." I mean, like the Chargers, they seem probably out of it already. They're at what 5-7, and you know it's a lost season for them, honestly, as well.
And
Just wait.
yeah.
Brandon Staley's going to hail himself as a genius for shutting us out.
Yeah. So speaking of defensive battles, let's go to the Meadowlands. New York Jets played the Atlanta Falcons. This game saw the benching and now, well, release of Tim Boyle.
Can we really call this a defensive matchup when it's just a
Yeah.
clash of two trash offenses?
Yeah. It's not, I mean, I don't think you can describe the Jets offense as trash. You have to use some stronger words. The
Yeah,
only
you're
reason
right.
that the only reason Nathaniel Hackett has a job right now is because some guys on the sidelines, just saying, okay, I'm just here. That's literally it. And if he was on any other team, he would have been fired, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. You know, it's fortunately not going to happen because of Aaron Rodgers and the support he has for Nathaniel Hackett in that building. And I feel bad for Jets fans. Well, I don't feel bad for them, but I feel bad that they have to watch
Why
this.
why why did you feel bad for those people? Hell no.
Fair, yeah. Falcons though they played okay. They didn't play great early, but they played good. I mean, like
I would say
Desmond.
Desmond Ritter wasn't all
Yeah.
that bad, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just a weird week with like 13-8, and then I don't think I've ever seen 6-0 before in an NFL game, but that happens.
according to Scorigami, it's happened
It's
before.
happened once,
Happened before.
like 100 years ago. But
Okay,
I will
fair
say
enough.
that how did every week we're going by and wondering how did the Jets take the Chiefs down to the wire and beat
Right?
the
And beat the yeah, it makes no with Zach Wilson
and
too. Like,
And
well, I
here's a
don't
better question: how did this terrible Patriots offense beat the Buffalo Bills?
yeah.
know.
Mhm.
NFL's
So
so
speaking
weird
of a game,
At
every week,
least the Bills were on bye, so they couldn't lose this week.
speaking of a game with terrible offense, let's head over to the Steel City. They're
Ugh.
playing what 2 games in 5 days there, and five. Steelers were lucky to score 5 points in this game. They got absolutely they just didn't play good. I mean, like Arizona, credit them, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, it's a good week.
Kyler,
Obviously, Arizona,
I
but
would say like Kyler looked pretty good. Like he's starting to slowly look like the color Kyler we've seen over the past few years.
yeah. I mean, like Steelers defense, obviously, Minka Fitzpatrick's, really
And of
banged up.
course shout out Trey McBride.
Sure, yes, I think that'll be a good combo. I don't think, the Cardinals should, choose to, break apart that tandem unless it, means moving on from Kyler Murray. So,
And speaking of Cardinals tight ends, Zach Ertz got released. Where do you think
yeah.
he'll set?
I
Will he go
think,
back to good old Philadelphia?
I mean, we saw Shaq Leonard do that, so props to him. I think it might happen. I mean, like
I
Goddard's
was
out, but
honestly a bit surprised with that. I thought he was going to go to Dallas. I was
I,
honestly a bit surprised.
I mean, like I think he just saw that. Oh, these guys need my help. Dallas, do they really need help on defense? The answer to me is
Hey,
no.
listen, you win with depth, and
Hmm.
when you have
Yeah.
when you
Plus, I
have
mean, yeah.
like if you have
Hmm.
Shaquille Leonard, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
if you have Leonard backing up when you already have a linebacking tandem of Micah Parsons and Leighton Vander Esch,
Hmm.
that's scary.
He's out. Van Der Esch is out for probably
Oh,
the rest of his career.
Oh,
all right, I forgot about that. But still,
Yeah, and I think
that's a
also,
hole.
I think Leonard also chose Philadelphia because he's like familiar with a ton of the staff. Obviously, they brought, the Eagles brought over a lot of that 2020 staff, 2018, 2020 Colts staff, Jonathan Gannon, obviously, but he's not there. Nick Sirianni, the head coach, the offensive coordinator, Shane Steichen, they were there for a while. So he has some familiarity with,
Yeah, that
at
is
least,
true.
the members of the team that are still familiar with him. So I think that's why he signed. So speaking of Indy, let's go to Tennessee. And man, this was a great game. Like, I meant like probably not the game of the week, but it was a great game.
A great game that no one cared about.
Yeah, I mean, like I watched a little bit of it. It was in my market, but this was a good game. And Gardner Minshew, wow, I mean, like he's had a bit of a turnover margin recently. You know, Nothing here. I mean, like credit the Colts special teams too. I mean, like you'd obviously think Mike Vrabel, best special team, one of the has some of the best special teams, units in the league, but they just got beaten on Sunday. There's no other way to put it. Colts, their defense seems suspect, their offense seems suspect, but they're finding ways to get it done, and you got to respect that, I think. So, I credit Shane Steichen. He's working already without, JT. He's working without, his fourth overall draft pick at quarterback, but he has these guys around the playoff race. Kind of have to give credit to him. So let's go to a game which saw a lot more offense, I guess. The Lions and the Saints, that was recently stagnant at first for the Saints. What is it with the Saints team? Like, I thought they were, gonna be, and the chase for the number one seed, or be rather, kind of in that conversation. But this seems looking more closer to the number one draft pick than it is, the number one seed. And what just went wrong? Is it, the offense? Because I don't think it's Derek Carr is
No,
the problem.
no, Pete Carmichael needs to go.
Is the
I'm with you. Like, I don't think
Mhm.
Derek Carr is like the sole problem, as the rest of the Saints fans want to make him their whipping boy. I don't believe Derek Carr is that big of a problem because Derek Carr is able to take pathetic units with the Raiders years ago and make them look respectable. And we mean
Mhm.
pathetic units. So it's
Yeah.
like I I mean, and like you said, like as previewed before, like what does he have to work with? Like he has to work with Michael Thomas, who's healthy for 3 seconds a year, and then
Mhm.
Alvin Kamara, who slow. I would say slowly starting to slow down because and that's the Saints offensive line. They don't have Terran Armstead no more. They don't have one of the best linemen. So Kamara's not getting as open opportunities as possible. Then of course, with all this, with all the
Yeah.
injuries there, Chris
And
Olave
they're
is being double teamed a lot more. So I don't believe it's all on Derek Carr. What the Saints
and
need to
then
do in free
yeah.
agency, what they need to do free agency or the draft, you need to start with the offensive line and maybe pick up a wide receiver too.
There's this guy named Malik Neighbors that goes to school near there. You should maybe take a look at him, New Orleans. I heard he goes to LSU. Maybe you're familiar with that place.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
while we're on the subject, why can't Detroit ever have a good defensive game? Why?
I mean, like they've they've had their moments. The Detroit Lions defense has had their moments this year. I mean, like we saw,
Their
KC week
moments,
one, their
their
moments.
moments, not their games.
Yeah. I mean, like I think, the week one, thing, it was good. The week two Seattle thing was bad. So it's kind of bipolar, You don't know which version of the defense you're gonna get. And, this was a chance for the Detroit defense to show that, hey, we should be more respected. But, you guys, the Saints might have won this game if, you don't convert that third down pass. So,
They probably they probably could have won this game, but
yeah.
at the end of
Yeah.
the day, it's a win, it's a
Credit.
loss.
I think I was questioning Brian Johnson a lot last week. In Thanksgiving against against the Packers, but he bounced back really well. I mean, like 21 points in the first 5 minutes of the game. I
Yeah.
think he kind of took off the gas a little bit there, but credit him. He deserves a lot more credit this time. Speaking of credit, let's go to Houston. We're one of the other interesting games as well. I had this one on
And,
the market.
and
So
unfortunately, the Denver Broncos season-long win streak of five gets ended. So,
yeah, I
but
mean,
they're
like,
still in a really
see,
good
I mean,
position.
like, Houston, Houston took a big hit with Tank Dell being out for the year. But
Yeah,
like, he
that
was,
sucks.
Oh man.
CJ Stroud, Tank Dell. That's been an elite combo this year, not just for rookies, but in general. I don't know how the Houston offense is going to look without him, but
They got Nico.
they got Nico, but like players like John Mechie that have established themselves, in college, they have to step up right now. John Mechie hasn't been, getting a lot of looks at receiver. This is his choice. This is his chance, to show why he was, so highly drafted over people like George Pickens. So there's a lot of work for him to do. Denver defense, I thought they didn't play a bad game. They just, they actually, they've
A
kept it
little bit undisciplined in
at
a few
times.
spots.
At times, yes, but I think the bigger problem wasn't their defense. It was definitely their offense. Three turnovers. You let Will Anderson, basically harass, Russell Wilson all day, all afternoon. You know, I don't know if that's more of a schematic thing or it's just an off day, but if you're in the midst of the playoff race right now and your playoff chances week to week are, either growing exponentially or decreasing exponentially, you have to figure that out
Yeah,
you know.
and
I think Russell kind of forced the throw there. I think if he could probably check down to Cortland, got an extra 3 or 4 yards, but yeah, he didn't have a good game. He threw two picks in that final quarter. You know, I thought the first one was a great play by the DB. The second one was just 50-50
sloppy.
ball. It was
Uh,
sloppy. Let's see there. Yeah.
yeah.
So speaking of sloppy, let's talk about the Commanders and the Dolphins. I mean, like the Dolphins
Uh,
are like flying high. The
Scoregami,
Commanders, yes,
scoregami.
yes. So Dolphins, Dolphins played an elite game. Sam Howell, he's throwing the ball 50 times a game, and
What
either
what
it's not
choice does he
working.
have? What choice does
Yeah,
he have? With Brian Robinson out for injury right now, and Antonio
is
Gibson not
he?
able. That's what I got out of my fantasy updates on
Oh
Sunday.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and of course, Antonio Gibson. Like,
Well, he was
he's
injured
a
during the. Oh yeah, he was out. Yeah.
yeah, but I'm saying like he's a nice piece, but he can't do much when their line is just trash. And
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin was blanketed. So like, what choice does Sam Howell have? They don't have a running game, and whatever wide receiving game they do have, all you have to do is not that much effort. So really, like Washington lost us within the first 3 seconds.
Yeah. Tyreek continues to build his MVP case. He definitely should be a top candidate in my mind. He's gonna win Offensive Player of the Year, barring something
And
out of the
remember,
ordinary
he
happening.
did say earlier in this he did say before the season started he wanted a 2,000 yard season. So far, he's on pretty good pace for that.
I agree. Let's talk about let's talk about 1,000 yard seasons, and let's go to Tampa Bay, where
Mike
this
Evans,
was
10 years straight. I mean, I've been saying long
Insane.
before this. Yeah, I've been saying long before this that Mike Evans is
yeah.
definitely has a great chance at Canton. I don't know about a lock
Yeah.
just yet, but he's
Mhm.
definitely got a
I mean,
great
like,
chance. What do you
yeah,
guys think?
yeah, yeah, yeah. People like Tyreek, JJ, they're lighting up the league, and good for them. But Mike Evans has been a lot more consistent, and I mean,
And
like, it
he
just
was doing this when Josh Freeman was his quarterback.
Josh
Josh Freeman
McCown, Josh
and Josh McCown.
McCown, Fitzmagic, these are like credit him, man. I mean, like credit Baker too. He played a pretty revenge game. He played pretty good too. I
Oh,
went
that's right. I forgot. Carolina
yeah.
revenge game.
Bryce Young, he played. There were there. The thing with Bryce Young, right? There are a lot of moments, but his supporting cast is just not good.
Like
You
here,
know, it's
like
unfortunate.
like going back to Bryce Young versus CJ Stroud. Bryce Young is able to take over is able to take over certain parts of the game. CJ Stroud is able to take over the entire damn game when he needs to. There's a
Hmm.
difference there. But that's also because
Well, I
CJ
think
Stroud actually has better pieces around him.
yeah. So I think
And
that's a
and,
big distinction
and
you have to make there.
it's going to be hard for Carolina to get better pieces around Bryce when, the first round pick is property of the Chicago Bears, almost which is almost certainly going to be the number one overall pick. But Carolina will be going into this offseason with quite a lot of money to spend. And I'm sure David Tepper, well, he's sitting on quite a lot of money from his hedge funds. So I imagine he'd be kind of eager to spend some to, bring some glory back to Carolina.
Mhm. Speaking of glory, let's go to Philly. And wow, the 49ers
I
after
Arnav, I
completely
imagine you enjoyed this game.
Oh yeah, I was so
You want
happy
to talk?
seeing
You want to talk?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Eagles just kind of got exposed on defense, especially. But I mean, Brock Purdy played well, McCaffrey played well. I mean, Debo played well. Well, those touchdowns
Debo,
are going
Debo with
deep.
the
Ayuk threw the
Debo played
Debo with the
ball.
insane.
hat trick. He
Yeah,
had
Debo
a
three
played
hat trick.
insane.
touchdowns. It was a good game. I mean, I guess the Niners kind of got their revenge. They were saying,
It
they
was
would
the
win
week.
if they had
It
a
was the
healthy
weekend of
quarterback. I didn't know if that was true or not, but they definitely not only won, they won convincingly. And maybe I thought it would be a close game, but like they blew them
well,
out.
it,
And this opens up the race for the one seed
about
in the
the
NFC. I
third
mean,
quarter.
between the Niners, the Lions,
Uh,
Philly, Dallas, it's going to be
What did you
interesting.
What did you think? What did you think of the Greenlaw versus the security dude fight?
Oh, no, that was absolutely nuts. With the security guard and getting ejected. I mean, that was crazy. But
No, don't
yeah,
you find it ironic that the head of security got ejected? Who's going to protect them now?
right. That's what I was thinking. It was kind of weird, but I mean, I don't
That's
know.
okay, but I think he shouldn't have been allowed in that area. He also did, but both are at
Yeah,
fault. And
oh yeah, that's
I
true.
I will say
Yeah,
though, Greenlaw, he did get shoved by the Eagle
Yeah,
security guy. I don't know what that's about,
but
but I think
The 49ers, they brought the physicality in this game. Like you saw
yes.
the way of which like before that whole fight started, like you saw like the previous 3 or 4 tackles that San Francisco made, they're all you know, like diving in this way. And you saw a couple of body slam tackles. I haven't seen those in years. So it was
Hmm.
fun to see
yeah.
those body slam tackles.
Physical.
The problem was those body slam tackles happened at a bounce. And naturally that led to that whole scuffle.
Yeah.
And I think, what also you have to note here is that, this is a team that the 49ers were favored to win, and they didn't just beat them. They, beating the
They
brakes
killed him.
off them. Yeah.
Hmm.
And, this is like, I don't know if it's, revenge. They just wanted revenge or something. But if they keep playing like this, man, there's no way this team is not winning the Super Bowl.
Wait, was that a was it? I forget what happened during the game, but was that Jalen Hurts injury thing he went into
I
the
think it
blue tent
was.
for?
I think the neurotrauma consultant spotted him taking a big hit, just took him into the locker room to be safe.
Yeah, I
I
saw him like I saw someone said that and then
Mhm.
he was back in, so I don't think
Yeah.
it's like a big concern. But yeah, I guess he got checked
Mhm.
out and entered the
Yeah.
game again. And he
Speaking of
played
big
pretty
con,
fine
yeah,
too after that. So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of big concern, let's go over to LA, where the Rams offense, showed its 2021, kind of how it looked in 2021 instead of last year.
Kyron Williams now has I believe 7 touchdowns on the year as the
And
Rams running back.
that's great. I mean, like, what, a fifth round pick last year, and now he's doing this for, the LA Rams. That's great, man. He's doing great. Joe Flacco, he did play, how he's,
No,
how,
no, mega brain theory. He was
mhm.
sabotaging the Browns to give the Ravens a better playoff chance.
Yeah. I mean,
He's
like,
still a Raven at heart.
yeah. I think Joe Flacco,
Black owned like
he didn't play a bad game. I think, Cleveland.
What further proves my theory? Kapil is wearing a purple shirt today. Exactly. Boom.
Haha. Yeah, but credit the Rams, especially on the offense. They came out with a plan, and but they got Puka Nacua involved really well.
mm,
That at at the risk, at the also the trade off of not having Cooper, they got Puka Nacua activated, but not Cooper Cup. So all these teams, all these great teams, they have more than two
And,
threats. I think the Rams
and
just have to figure out how to use them.
yeah,
Um,
Rams are at 500 now. They're back in the
yeah.
playoff race. Remember a
Hmm.
couple weeks ago we thought they were pretty much dead. They seem to rebound nicely, and you know they have like a pretty good chance at that wild card. I mean, of course, they're not going to take the division when San Francisco is just murdering everyone in their path, but they definitely have a good chance. Who if you're like the top three seeds, like we know the top three will probably remain at like Philly, San Francisco, uh, and yeah, but like between those two, like, and of course, like one of them will be on bye. Who
mm,
who would you rather face? Like, if you draw the LA Rams, like, who would that be like a less favorable matchup for?
Hmm.
I'd probably be more inclined to say the 49ers because, division
Hmm.
rivals and always like, division rivals, no matter how trash both teams are, they always play each other
Hmm.
tough. And
Yeah.
especially when it comes to the playoffs,
right.
like there's a different level to it.
Yeah, they have that NFC championship in recent history too on top of that.
That's right. That's right. So
So yeah.
so the Rams can definitely make some noise.
Mhm.
They just have to hit another gear. But
Hmm.
they're definitely in a great spot right now.
Yeah, they're definitely on the right track, that's for sure.
Speaking of perfect track, let's go to Green Bay, where we saw one of the games
Oh,
of the
oh,
week.
this game was great. This game
It
was
was
great.
great. I mean, like, Jordan Love, he's looking Aaron Rodgers like it's incredible, honestly. I mean, like, he had that really bad spurt against Denver and some other teams, but he's bounced back really well. I mean, this is the Chief. This is a top 10 defense of the Chiefs that he like diced up pretty well. I mean, like, Romeo Dobbs had a big player too. Christian Watson, had a great touchdown. Man, if Jordan Love continues to play like this, the sky is not the limit. The
And
stars are.
just imagine more torture for the NFC North. You thought y'all were good when Brett Favre was gone. Then Aaron
Mhm.
Rodgers stepped in. Then
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers flees, and now Jordan Love is here. But the
I
thing
will
is,
say,
Jordan Love needs to show more consistency because he's been very Jekyll and Hyde as a
I
quarterback.
think, I
He's had
think,
good games and he's had crap games.
I think, the Chargers game is when he started to turn it around. I mean, like, they don't have a good defense at all, but he started to turn it around there, and I think he's going to continue that. What I think I'd like to see though, they should run Jordan Love a lot more. Just the threat of a running quarterback just brings an extra dimension to any offense, right? I mean, like, look at the Patriots, right? They have no offense, and their quarterbacks are not mobile. But think of other offenses like Buffalo or Philly. their quarterbacks are, pretty mobile. They can, make plays on the run, and just or like say if there's no receivers open, they can run down 5-10 yards, get a first down, and keep the drive going. You know, I think there should be a little bit of quarterback design runs. Obviously, you don't want him to overdo it, but a few, here and
And
there. You have to pick your
and
spots.
frankly, I think at the end of the fourth quarter, those two like we know which two plays we're talking about. They offset each other. Like
Yeah, really bad
when
ref
no,
officiating.
I mean Pat bounds stop being so damn soft. Like that was
Mm-hmm.
not a penalty. And of
It was
course
inbounds. It was an
and
inbounds
of
field.
course the no call in the DPI. Well, like I said,
I
that's
think
just
I think on Hail Marys, I mean, like they're not going to call it. They're
Hail
never are
Marys
going
or
to call
not,
it.
the other
So
one was like
yeah,
very egregious.
I don't
But
mind that.
yeah, the Hail
yeah.
Marys, yeah, I
But
don't know.
here's the thing. Like Patrick Mahomes and company got a free 15 yards from a nonsensical penalty, so it only makes
I mean,
sense that
like,
they don't
I mean,
actually
like,
get a call in their
and
favor.
I'd also like to point out something hypocritical. Mahomes says, "Okay, yeah, they're going to let those guys play," but in the
Oh
Super
yeah.
Bowl, you didn't let that happen. So keep it,
Mm,
keep it
yeah,
fair,
it
man.
was so funny when he said the
Mm.
thing about like, oh, we just want the guys to play, and like he's like literally asking for flags,
It's
but
it's a
is
it's a
what it
funny
is.
double standard. It's a funny
Yeah,
double standard.
it's funny, but refs are gonna ref, I guess.
Mhm.
It was just notoriously bad. I mean, we've seen a lot of bad refing, but both sides like this, in one drive, like having like three missed calls, like it's just
Yeah.
not a good look. That's
Mhm.
I'm not complaining. Taylor Swift got to see those stupid Chiefs lose, so
Oh
good game.
yeah, she was in the building again,
I don't
so
care. I don't care.
Yeah.
okay.
Let's go
Anyway,
to okay. So now let's go to the game of the week, which I thought was Jacksonville and Cincinnati. Despite some mind baffling calls by Cincinnati, not having the receiver throw screen pass.
Can we just
Yeah,
talk? Can we just talk about how Jake Browning
Jake
looked
Browning,
really goddamn good?
yeah, he played.
He lo-
he was
he looked
like
like
out of
Joe
his
Burrow.
mind. Like it was
He
crazy.
looked like Joe Burrow out there.
He did
Hmm.
not like Joe Burrow, but he looked very much the part of him. I mean, like he made all these
And
throws that Burrow can make, and
and
this is a
y'all saw that Jamar Chase grab in overtime, like where he
yeah.
juggled the ball three times. Ooh,
Hmm.
that was nice.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's good. I mean, like this Cincinnati team, I mean, like I've written them off, I probably
Yeah, the
shouldn't,
tough
after,
division.
you know, I mean,
Hey,
not just tough division,
they could make a stand. Who knows? But
they could
also
make
like
a stand.
ja Jacksonville lost what they could have potentially gained the one seed, but
Yeah.
I know they got
Mm.
bigger
Remember
fish to
Jackson?
fry.
Yeah. I think, I mean, like,
Trevor Lawrence with a high ankle sprain right now. That's not going to be
mhm,
all that great. But CJ
yeah.
Beathard didn't play all that bad in Lawrence's absence.
Yeah. I also like to point out Jacksonville did miss a field goal in that game that, proved to be the difference in the end. But I think the bigger issue is, Jacksonville's defense was, they've been great the first few weeks. And this one, I don't know if it was an anomaly or something, but Trevor Lawrence's health, with the Jaguars in the one seed, or like really damn close to it, this is gonna be a huge time for other teams to catch up. Miami, Baltimore, Kansas City. Those teams are gonna catch up, and they're gonna catch up now. And you're gonna have to figure out how to keep the one seed, or at least be in the striking distance of it now. I'm not sure what Doug Peterson is gonna do, but you're gonna have to make do with what you have. Throw to Ridley more, throw to Zay Jones more, throw to kick, have Travis
Or
Etienne.
actually use Travis Etienne more than
Yeah,
just a glorified third down back.
yeah, I think so. Those are all important things. Mhm.
Yeah, so I think that pretty much finishes off the NFL slate, right? So
We could do a
we
little
have
bit of
some we could talk about college football now.
we could do a little bit of NBA, not a lot, but a little bit.
Uh,
Hmm. So
sure, you want to do that now, or
yeah, yeah, NBA in season tournament play continues for the knockoff rounds.
The guard like first of all, it's still a meaningless tournament. I don't care who
Yeah,
wins, who loses. It's still a meaningless tournament.
yeah, I mean, that being said, it wasn't. I'm kind of happy, like at least it wasn't completely random and has like it's like the better teams are still kind of more or less like in knockout stage, and I feel like if they just had a knockout stage, like it would be a lot better. Like if they just maybe mid-season instead of the All-Star thing, because the All-Star thing's like there's no defense, and and maybe instead of that, maybe if they did like the top, four teams or top eight teams and had a little knockout tournament like mid-season. I feel like that would be exciting because I
No,
feel like some
I mean
people are probably gonna watch this, but the group stage, like, what's the point of that? It was during the regular season,
no,
like no
I
one
think
even the courts were
no,
weird, like nothing was like great about that.
yeah,
It was just normal
Well,
basketball.
yeah, the courts just look like the courts. they just look terrible. It looks like a 6-year-old was trying to color inside the lines or something.
Yeah, I
But
was like, I mean,
But I
like
think I
that's
think
the
I
one.
think
Yeah, I was
I
weird.
think ESPN said it best. I think that was a kind of a marketing ploy. These courts are so bad, but people are but they draw attention to the in-season tournament, and that's a
Yeah,
good ploy.
I
they didn't
guess.
Um,
draw they didn't
Yeah,
draw my
so,
attention.
yeah.
I
So yeah.
hardly even like the point differential thing was interesting because teams were trying to win by like a certain amount of points to win the group, and
Mhm.
I mean there was some like element of interest, I
No,
guess,
no.
but
First
just
of all,
not really, no.
since this is a meaningless regular season gimmick, it really doesn't make sense for teams to be pushing their players hard like this hard during November and December for a stupid, meaningless, garbage, nonsensical tournament. Save this energy for when it really matters. Don't
Right.
burn your players out for something this stupid and meaningless.
Yeah. Um,
And this goes for all teams like playing in
yeah.
right now. And ironically, right now, I just got a notification saying that the Bucks are beat the Knicks in
Yeah.
the stupid IST, and they're gonna
I,
go to Vegas to play the
yep.
Pacers in the
Nice.
semis for this crap.
Great.
Yeah. So
And then
let's
yeah,
also so let's
Suns
talk
Lakers
about
another quarterfinal
yeah.
tonight.
Yeah, let's also talk. The Celtics obviously got eliminated by Indiana. Tyrese Halliburton had a great game, but I think a lot of it was kind of due to Kristaps Porzingis, having that calf injury. Sure it won't sideline him for much longer, but I think it deserves mention. So yeah.
Anyways, again, this thing still doesn't mean anything to me. I just still see it as more regular season games. Like this is
They
just
basically
another.
just played out like regular
No,
season games for
it
the
it
most
it,
part too. So
it
it's
is
just
regular
and
season.
they count for the standings too.
No,
So I
this
mean,
is just another desperate money market ploy by the NBA. Like
right.
we saw it a couple of years ago with the bogus play-in tournament, which is still ridiculous and should not be allowed. You know what the play-in tournament was about? It's about the NBA trying to sell out as much as it can to obtain revenue for like one or two meaningless matches between sub 500 teams that don't deserve to sniff the playoffs. And it's to ignite that false hope in the fan base that their team is can actually do something in the playoffs, but it's just a waste of everybody's time. It, like what the hell was wrong with the regular 1 to 8 seed?
Right.
Stop
Yeah.
giving these ninth and 10th seeds like
Just more
a
hope, I
chance.
guess, so
No,
people don't tank and stuff. But
and
like, I
and
mean, yeah.
and honestly, like this is a rule I'd like to see like, instated in all sports. Instated, is that the right word? I don't know. Okay,
Mhm.
brought into all the sports. Let's just put it that way.
Mhm.
This is a rule I'd like to see for across all sports: baseball, basketball, hockey, football, anything.
Yeah, and
You are only
the Bucks just won against who did the Bucks beat?
Pacers, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean
they beat
the
the
no,
Pacers. Yeah.
yeah, as I said it like
not
they beat the
the
Knicks,
Knicks, yeah.
but here's a rule I want instated across everything. You are only eligible to make the playoffs if your team finishes 500 or better.
Mhm.
No
Yeah.
excuses.
I think that's it seems fair, but yeah,
Listen. Like if we go back to 2020 to your pathetic division, Arnoff, the tank division,
right.
no one should have made the playoffs. Like from the NFC East, you should brought in either like a substitute from one of the teams that did have a 500 record and didn't make it, or simply you readjust the seating. It's not
Mhm.
that hard. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
Like
I guess.
the NFL, they already added one more unnecessary 7 seed a couple of years ago and
Mhm.
gave only the first team a bye. So
Right.
it's not that hard
Just
to
go back
adjust
to
it.
the one through one to six.
Exactly.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying, but
No, because
yeah.
it's frustrating as a fan because you're subjected to watch this. I can't even say mediocre. You're subjected to watch this below average play
Right.
during the most critical time as a sports fan. It's infuriating. I it's garbage.
So speaking I'm sure a lot of people would like to hear that, especially in Tallahassee,
Yeah, this is like the
where
exact opposite of like,
Oh,
yeah,
too many teams to too few.
Where
So it's
FSU
kind
is
of funny.
basically like unbeaten and didn't really have
yeah,
that much
yeah.
adversity.
So let's talk about this. Let's not talk. I mean, like we deserve to talk about it, but not too long. FSU, did they deserve it? Yes. Were they a top four team? No. And I think
I agree. They
most people,
deserved it, but they weren't like one of the
I'm
best
yeah,
I'm
teams.
I'm saying this as someone who doesn't really watch a whole lot of college football. I 100% agree with you because their record was not reflected in the quality of play. And going back to
mhm,
2020, remember when the Steelers started out 11-0 and then
mhm,
they
yeah,
tanked a bit at the end and then they got humiliated by the Cleveland Browns. Like Florida State this season kind of reminded me of the 2020 Steelers if the season were to end after like week 12.
yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate. FSU.
Yeah.
I mean, like if Jordan
Also
Travis
Jordan
wasn't hurt,
Travis. Yeah, exactly.
Jordan
they would
Travis,
be,
yeah.
yeah,
Then they would have
and
been deserving
yeah,
and
yeah.
competitive.
But I also think that I'm a Bama fan speaking this. Georgia is a top four team. They are. They just got
I mean,
they
like,
got no. They
Whoa,
are.
but
whoa!
who
And
An
would they
Alabama
replace?
fan
Like
says
that
that?
one,
I'll say
like
why.
there's no one
I'll
they
say
could have
why.
replaced
I'll say
though.
why they're a top four team. Right? They lost this game by 3 points, and they had significant injuries on offense and defense, and they still
Okay.
were able to keep it close. I
That's
meant like
fair. But
like
yeah, but like
if it were,
who would they replace? Like we already have this Florida
I meant
State
like no,
problem.
I
We don't
meant
want to
like
kick out
they're.
a deserving team now too,
I meant
or
like they're. I meant
actual good
like
team.
I
Deion
proposed.
Sanders,
I
Colorado
I
team.
propose. Yeah,
Boom.
I propose this. Right. I propose this. Michigan would be the best team. Michigan's the best. Washington's second best.
Right.
Then, then you'd probably
Texas
have to.
maybe.
Then Texas and then Georgia or Alabama or
Okay.
not Texas. I put
Well,
something else. Well, look, the thing is,
see,
I
this
think
gets
Alabama's got
complicated now with the head-to-head. So I think we avoided
yeah.
that problem when we put Texas and Bama in the
Yeah.
playoffs.
But
So,
like I think Michigan, Washington, they're top four teams. I think Alabama also is a top four team.
right.
Texas or Georgia, I meant like that would be a pretty
Yeah,
good game to
kind
check
of
it out. But
debatable. Like if
I
yeah.
think,
Mhm.
as a Bama fan, Georgia's a top four team.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
it has to be
I
so.
think I
You're
agree
not
with
going to
that. They
hear a whole
played
lot
they
of
played
Alabama
well.
fans say that.
Yes,
Yeah, I know
I
exactly.
meant like this,
You
but
know,
it came down to a field goal.
for
Pretty
If
much, yeah.
So it's not, entirely, their fault. Plus their injuries on offense, especially Brock Bowers,
Brock
Lad
Bowers,
McConkey,
yeah.
and there's a reason why the run game was so good for Alabama on, Saturday, and that's because their starting linebackers were hurt. So I think they're top four team, but we did get a playoff. Alabama and Michigan at the Rose Bowl, that's going to be
Mm.
an instant
Oh, it's
classic.
gonna be such a good one.
Yeah. Who do we have in that game?
Roll Tide. Yeah. Well,
Yes, I have Alabama, but it's not going to be by
Wow,
much.
what a
and it's gonna be
shocker. What a shocker.
Thank you, Jitesh. Yeah. So
um yeah.
I have Alabama winning that one 31-27 or 31-28. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
For the other one down in New Orleans, it's Washington and Texas. I have Texas winning that one. Texas is going to
Mm,
win
I think so. Yeah.
41 to 24 or 27 is my prediction
Yeah.
there.
Something like that. Yeah. For me, I
That's
guess.
a
So
solid prediction.
Yeah.
we would have Alabama and Texas a rematch in the national championship
Ooh,
game.
that would be a juicy
I'd love to
rematch.
I'd love to get back at Texas. With this field, I think Alabama would win. They're not the same week two team. If that happens, I have Alabama beating Texas. It's not gonna be by much though. It's gonna be maybe 6 points, maybe
Couple
less. I
close
take
playoff games. Yeah.
I'll take Alabama 31. Sorry, Texas 31, Bama 34 in a potential rematch.
Would you care to bet on that?
I'm all right. But I'll say that my score prediction for the SEC championship, I had Bama 28 to Georgia 24, and I was 1 point off.
Ooh,
So
Okay.
that is very interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So well,
Yeah,
that's it.
very
Yeah.
interesting. So,
Well, that's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I'd probably do something similar, having taking Bama, Texas to win the semis and close games. Probably Bama in the championship, but these games can go either way. We have a lot of time to discuss. We'll
Yeah.
probably do that more often. But yeah, this has been another episode of Sports Vibe. So stay tuned for more content next week.